What is up, YouTube? It is the Bill Outdoors here. Today is September 24th of 2024. I am here at Brandywine Creek, and this is a section of Brandywine Creek that I have never fished before, so we're going to just be exploring today, seeing what we can catch. I have on a little Euro Tackle B-Vibe with a 1/64 ounce Trout Magnet jig head. That's just going to resemble a little minnow or bait fish species. It looks pretty fishy over here, so I'm liking what I see so far. We got a little bit of rain yesterday. Water is still pretty clear. I'm guessing water levels are a little bit lower than usual because we've been kind of in a drought here in southeast Pennsylvania, but it looks really fishy. I'm seeing some fish bump at the surface. We got a lot of like bugs flying around in the air, so we're gonna see what we can get into today. There should be some fish around, probably some smallmouth bass, probably some fallfish, probably sunfish, just your common creek predatory species that you'll find. We'll probably run into them today. So I'm just gonna be casting around in these different pockets and seeing what we can come up with. Hopefully we can put today as a good day of fishing, but we will see. We're gonna walk downstream to start, see if we can find any fishy areas, and then we're probably going to move back upstream and see what we can find down there. So let's get to work and put some fish on the board, see what we can do. There's a fish. Get up here. It's a nice rock bass. Oh, he popped off. Dang it. Alright. Enough messing around. I'm thinking maybe I should switch profiles back to the Trout Magnet. I always use the Trout Magnet for every creek fishing video, but I think that's what's going to do us the best today. We got really clear conditions. I don't think this Euro Tackle B-Vibe is convincing enough. Oh guys, I finally caught our first fish of the day, and it's a little smallmouth bass. He is a puny guy, but he's got some good shoulders on him for one this size. I've been at it for probably an hour now, and this is the first fish I've gotten, surprisingly. Something about this creek, these fish have just been on to me. So hopefully that's not the only fish we catch today. I'm walking downstream a little bit further, and I've been seeing plenty of fish pop at the surface and all that good stuff, but they've just been wary of what I'm throwing here. Used a little Trout Magnet. After I switched from the Euro Tackle, we went from a gold Trout Magnet to now like a white and chartreuse mixed Trout Magnet, and before that we had on a spinner, little inline spinner, trying to get a little more flash in the water, see if that triggered any strikes. That didn't work, so now we're back to the Trout Magnet, and we just got our first fish of the day, a little smallmouth bass. I was hoping for one a little bit better than that, but we still got time left to fish. There's one. That's a rock bass. Get up here, buddy. That one's not getting off. All right. We lost the first rock bass of the day, but now we got a second one. This one we'll actually take a picture of. All right, so there he is. Gonna unhook this guy, and we're gonna let him go. All right, guys, just got our rock bass unhooked here. We're gonna dip him back in the water, and then we're gonna send him off. Pretty one. There he goes, back into the depths. All right, so now we got two fish. Both came out of the same pocket on the little white and chartreuse Trout Magnet. So things are starting to look up for us. Slowly but surely, this day will turn around. There's lots of aquatic vegetation in this creek, more so than what I find locally at French and Pickering Creek. I've seen some schools of yellow perch, So I'm hoping one of those shows up today, because I don't usually catch perch too often on my local creeks. Pickering Creek has a few, but other than that, I don't really catch them too much. So that's what we're gonna hope will show up today. I know there's some in here. Got our perch, I think. Yep, there we go. Our first yellow perch. There we go. Let's get this guy unhooked. We'll take a shot of him and then we're gonna let him go. Alrighty, our first yellow perch of the day. We're gonna let him back in the water. Such a pretty fish. There he goes. So that perch came from like 10 feet in front of us, just chilling on a mud bank next to some leaf debris. And I basically just cast it, let it sit to the bottom a little bit, and that perch scooted right over and slurped up the Trout Magnet. There's one. Nope, it's not a perch, it's a rock bass. Alright, we'll take it, we'll take it. Let's get this guy unhooked. There's our rock bass. They're much smaller than the other rock bass he caught today, but we're up to 3 species now. Let's see if we can get some others on the board. I know we're missing a sunfish still. Hopefully that one's not too difficult. Shouldn't be. It's probably the most abundant fish you'll find in these southeast Pennsylvania creeks. That being the Redbreast Sunfish and the bluegill. Guys, we just got a nice fallfish on the line here. He's fighting pretty good. Let's see if I can get him up. Hook him right on the top of the mouth. There we go. Nice fallfish. We're gonna go ahead and take a shot of this guy and then we're gonna let him go. Alright guys, we got our fallfish unhooked here. We're gonna let him go back in the water. Get a little oxygen moving back through those gills. He's good to go. I looked in that guy's mouth. He had a bunch of little bugs in there, so maybe they're the ones popping at the surface. Got another fish on. It's a nice rock bass. There we go. Fat one. There he is. He's not really cooperating for us, but that's all right. There we go. Our third rock bass of the day. This one about the size of the other one we got. Pretty good quality rock bass there, nice and thick, this guy. They also call them Google eyes because of that big red eye they got. Pretty fish. We're gonna go ahead and let them back in the water. Thankfully I decided to bring the waders today because this water is not incredibly shallow. I'm almost waist deep in the water right now, definitely thigh deep. These are waders I was recently recommended by a friend of mine. They're Tide waders. I don't know if that's how you properly say it, but it's basically just Tide, W-E. And I think they primarily do like duck hunting stuff, but this was a cheap pair of waders I got on Amazon as we're got another rock bass, it looks here. And so far no leaks in 3 uses, so that's plus. My other ones were getting me a little wet, so I decided to opt for a cheaper option than spend another couple $100 on a name brand pair. So far they're working out all right. Well, there's definitely a healthy population of rock bass in this section of the Brandywine Creek, as we just got our 4th one of the day. Hooked them right in the corner of the mouth. This one's slightly smaller than the last one we got, but still pretty colors on him. So we're just going to go ahead and drop him back in the water, and he's good to go. Still waiting on our sunfish to show up. I've seen them, particularly the redbreast sunfish, but so far the rock bass have been getting to them first. Here we go, guys. I finally got our sunfish for the day. I had to wait for him to inhale it a little bit. There we go. Beautiful redbreast sunfish. Let's get this guy unhooked. I put a mean hook set on him. All right, species number 5, the redbreast sunfish, going back in the water. Beautiful fish here. He's good to go. There's a school of about 20 or so perch that I was trying to target, but that sunfish came along and slurped it up. So that'll work. Got ourselves another sunfish, another redbreast. We already took a shot at one of these guys, so we're just going to go ahead and get them unhooked. I've been getting follows from those perch, but they've been pretty finicky. This one's got interesting colors. It's almost purple on the dorsal fin there. We're going to go ahead and let him go. Oh, gave us a nice little splash. I think we're up to 6 rock bass on the day. There's a little eddy in front of me, and pretty much once I got the right drift in there, avoiding the leaves, there's a couple of good sized, well, I wouldn't say good size, but decent sized fish that were coming out of that eddy to chase after the Trout Magnet. And that rock bass was the first one to commit. There was also some larger smallmouth than what we had caught chasing after it. There's another fish and another rock bass. What do you know? So this creek is full of these rock bass. A bunch of perch too, but the perch are being a little bit more finicky. I thought they would be pretty aggressive, but they're very light biters, so they don't take in the full Trout Magnet. There's one. What do you know? It's another rock bass. Switch to like a yellowish orange Trout Magnet, maybe a macaroni color, if you would call it that. And it's definitely getting attention, just only from rock basses. There we go. We got a redbreast now. Smallmouth still do not want to deal with me today, and I almost just lost my Trout Magnet. Got a little rock bass. I think it's time we move on from this hole. Go up the creek a little ways, see if we can relocate some perch. Alright guys, I walked pretty far up the stream. We've been at this for about 3.5 hours now. So I'm going to walk back down the stream towards where we started at and maybe toss in a few casts on the way back, but that might be it today, but we'll see. We will see. I was hoping to get another perch on the board, but that hasn't happened yet. Alright guys, I was on my way out and I noticed this little puddle that is completely isolated from the main creek over here, and in it was little minnows. I don't have a net with me to save them, but I do have my Tanaga hook, so I gathered a few little pieces of bait here, and I'm going to try and see if I can catch any of these little bait fish or minnows out of this puddle. Alright, we got our bait in the water here. See if anything takes it. Oh, we got one, but he fell off the hook. It's a little smallmouth bass. So we're gonna go ahead and rescue this guy and move him back to the main stem of the creek. There he is. And we're gonna let this little guy go back in the main creek. All right, we got one of the shiners, and this looks like a Spottail Shiner here, one of the Netropus species, one of the more common ones at that. We're gonna go ahead and let that guy go. Out from the puddle emerged another species that is not wanting to stay still for the camera, but that is a creek chub there. Very tiny creek chub at that, but that is what that is. So we're going to go ahead and let him go back in the mainstream, because he may not survive in that puddle if that continues to dry up. We got another fish out of that tide pool. This guy, tide pool, it's a puddle. This guy is a common shiner, it looks like. This is not a member of the Netropus genus. This is a member of the Luxelis genus, and this is the only member that we have in the area is the common shiner. So another species for the day. We're going to take a shot and then we're going to release this guy. Alright, our common shiner is going back in the water. He's good to go. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today's fishing session. It is a little after 12 p.m. right now, so I've been at this for a good almost 4 hours now. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Not a terrible fishing session. We managed, I believe, 7 different species of fish. We started off using the Eurotackle B-Vibe. That got some attention, but not too many strikes, so we switched back and forth to a couple different lures until we landed on the Trout Magnet in a white and chartreuse color, and I ended up catching a tiny smallmouth bass, plenty of rock bass. We caught ourselves a yellow perch, a redbreast sunfish, and a fallfish. Did I say fallfish right? Anyway, we caught 4 species on the Trout Magnet before we switched over to micro fishing that little puddle there towards the end of the fishing session. And from there we caught a Spottail Shiner, a creek chub, and we also caught a common shiner. So 7 species total, not bad by any means. But I'm gonna go back home now and have some lunch. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's fishing session. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you guys on the next episode of the Vil Outdoors.